everybody, it's Kayla and Ivy, and we're back at you with another video. I know it's been like 2 weeks, so you're probably like, what is she doing? But I'm back, and I'm actually like during the daytime for once, so there's actual natural lighting. So today I thought I would talk about my chemotherapy symptoms. I wrote them all down because there's a lot and I won't remember them all. But before I go into that, I just want to clarify that for my Hodgkin's lymphoma treatment, it was experimental. So I would go in the hospital for 3 days of inpatient chemo, and then I would come back a week later for 1 day of outpatient chemo. And on outpatient chemo, I could actually leave afterwards, which that was a very aggressive chemo. I only had to go for 4 months, while normally they go for about 6 months, the treatments do. And they have they go in for 12 different ones every 2 weeks. And while mine were, it was a lot of chemo bags, back to back in days, and I only got it over 4 months. So it was very aggressive. So my symptoms were a lot worse than most people with Hodgkin's lymphoma getting chemo. I can't speak for everyone, but I've noticed that a lot of people who have Hodgkin's lymphoma, they can still go hang out with friends and stuff, and they only feel bad. They feel the worst for a few days after chemo, and then they kind of do better. And I see that they went on fundraiser runs and stuff, and I couldn't do any of that. I only felt okay for a few days at the very end of the 3 weeks, and then I get chemo again. So my chemo was very aggressive because of that. So anyways, let's get into this list. So I had really bad nerve pain. It started during my first chemotherapy treatment. It was in my ears. They said it was coming from my jaw, but I felt it in my ears. The pain rated right here. And it was like a throbbing, pulsing pain. It felt like someone was taking a knife and just stabbing it in my ear over and over again. Like an ear infection, but 20 times worse. And I would do this, and I cried, and I couldn't think about anything. I couldn't eat because of the pain. And they wouldn't give me anything for a while. They tried to give me Tylenol, and then they finally decided to give me oxycodone, which that didn't work because it was nerve pain. And then after 2 days of this, I couldn't take anymore, and I told them I was never getting chemo again, and I would just let the cancer kill me. This is how bad it hurt. And I know it sounds dramatic, but I was in a lot of severe pain. So they gave me morphine after that, and the morphine actually worked. And it obviously didn't get rid of it, but it made it like an ear infection level, so I could stand to think again, and I could feel like I could function again. And but it was awful. And I tried to eat a little tiny piece of the toast, that big. It was barely anything. I put it in my mouth, barely bit down, and just vomited everywhere. The pain shot through so strong, I just immediately threw up everywhere. It was the worst. To treat that, what we did was I would take gabapentin every day, 3 times a day. And that way, gabapentin, it kind of I don't really know what it does exactly. There's no obvious effects. It's not like a painkiller. It's different. But it would make it where, I guess it dulled that nerve signal or something. So when I did get the chemo and stuff, when the nerve pain hit, it was just a slight ear infection. I didn't feel very bad anymore. So that was a lifesaver for that, because I literally would have been like, nope, let me die. And then, the gabapentin also helped with the neuropathy I had. I had really bad neuropathy. I still actually have neuropathy, because it's only been, it's August 10th, I think, maybe 11th right now. And I had my last chemo on June 6th, so it's been 2.5 months, 2 months. So I had it, the gabapentin helped some with that, but I still got it really bad. In my fingers especially, they were always numb and tingly. They still are numbish, but I feel a lot more in them than I used to. But it feels weird. Have you ever you gotten so cold your fingers went numb, or your limbs fall asleep? It kind of feels like that. Except it's the pins and needles feeling isn't as bad, but it's mostly just the numbness. When I bend my fingers, it feels almost like it's tight in the parts of the joints, so it's kind of hard to bend them. And then I also had it in my left leg really bad. it got to the point where I drag this leg, especially when I get tired. I drag it. Um, it's it's gotten better. It's not as bad as it used to be. I think they call it drop foot, but it I literally couldn't, like, I could barely pick it up, so I just kind of drug it along with me and shuffled, and it hurt really bad because of that. It was really hard to use that leg, and that's improved a lot. But I already had leg trouble. I was born with my hip not connected to my body in my left leg. I had severe hip dysplasia, and they thought that I would always need like crutches or a wheelchair or something because I wouldn't be able to walk on that leg. But fortunately, they did one surgery, and then when they went in for the second surgery, they said that my hip had miraculously healed. No one can explain it. My family believes that God healed me. I know some people don't believe in religion, but that's what we believe. Because your hip isn't always shaped like this, a socket, and mine was like this, so it couldn't hook in, but I was miraculously healed. But I still have some trouble with the legs, and my ankles kind of collapse inwards on both feet, so I guess I'm not surprised that my leg was so badly affected by the neuropathy. But the fingers and the feet is very, very common with neuropathy in most people. Let's see, what should we talk about next? Ooh, okay, we'll talk about chest pain and stomach acid. So I was having like stomach acid, like acid reflux, pretty bad. It was like a burning sensation all the time in my chest. You know, heartburn. Yeah, I mean, heartburn's pretty common. Most people have had heartburn a few times. You eat something that doesn't agree with you, you get heartburn. And so I thought it was all just acid reflux, and they gave me Pepcid, and it helped some, and they doubled my dose of Pepcid to 40 milligrams, and that helped a lot. But I was still having this chest pain. It was kind of throbbing chest pain, and if I swallowed, it made it worse. If I ate, it made it worse. It just hurt, and it got worse and worse each round. And then the third round, it got so bad I just couldn't eat or swallow, and I ended up in the hospital, and I was in the hospital for a whole week because I couldn't eat anything because of the pain and stuff. And that also, there was actually another thing going on at the same time, and that was mouth sores. I had like severe mouth sores, lined my tongue, and then they were all through here and stuff too. And mine, I could talk, like, there's like a magic mouthwash which you can take, and it numbs the mouth and stuff to kind of help you be able to eat and stuff without as much pain. So I would do that, and then I had dry mouth along with the mouth sores, so I'd take Biotine, which is like a mouthwash thing, and that would help the dry mouth. So that I kind of did that to help with dry mouth sores, but mine spread down my throat and into my stomach. So the chest pain along with the sores all down there, I started to throw up blood. I threw up blood twice, which was very scary because at the time I didn't know why I was throwing up blood. Thankfully, we were already in the hospital because I couldn't eat anymore because of pain when that happened, because otherwise I think my dad would have freaked out and flipped me over his shoulder and like called 911 and rushed me to the hospital. But yeah, that was scary. But it was just that the sores in my stomach were seeping blood, so I was throwing up the blood from the sores. And then that with the chest pain, I just couldn't eat or drink anything for a whole week. And they had me on like the bags of fluid with like the stuff in them to give you nutrients and everything. And it turned out that the chest pain was caused by, I took a chemo, it starts with a D, I can't remember the name, I'll have to look it up later, but it was damaging like one of my left heart valves. It was slowing down the, like, you know how like it draws blood in, pushes blood out? I think that's what it does. I'm sorry. I was like, I couldn't think through this whole thing. I should have asked more questions, but I was mostly just like, oh God, just fix me so I don't die. But it slowed something down. It damaged my heart some, so that was causing the chest pain, was the damage to my heart from that chemo. So they stopped that chemo after round 3. And my heart did not recover by round 4, so it was a little bit improvement, and they were hoping it would improve fully, but it didn't. So they took that bag out entirely because they obviously, you need a heart to live. They don't want to destroy your heart. That would be bad. That, like, what's the point of saving you from cancer if they destroy your heart and then you die anyways? So they took that out. And then round 5, still it improved a little bit, but not fully. And then at the end of round 5 and stuff, they looked again, and my heart function actually went back to normal. So my heart pumps good, does its job, thank God. So I never know, like, they asked me, like, the other day when I went in to get my port surgery site checked, they were like, do you have any, like, heart trouble? And I was like, do I tell them that I had some heart trouble, but I don't anymore? Because it's not going to go bad again, but I don't know what to say. I guess I should probably, like, just tell them and explain it just in case. I don't know. Let's see. Look at that. We're knocking off all kinds of stuff off our list. This kind of goes hand in hand with what I just said. The dehydration and, like, not eating thing, you know. I got dehydrated a lot because I guess, like, I don't know, I guess you just get dehydrated really easy when you're sick like that, because you don't really want to drink stuff. You just feel crummy, so you don't drink as much as you should. And I hate water. I know, I'm weird. I'm one of those people thinking water has a taste, and I just don't like the way water tastes. So I had a hard time. I didn't drink a lot of water before, and then I really wasn't drinking much during. So I had to go in and get fluid bags a lot because I would get so dehydrated. And I often went in for not being able to eat, not being able to drink, because I would get so dehydrated and sick. That was pretty common for me. Let's see. Okay. Nausea and vomiting. Well, yeah, obviously you can probably tell from all of what I just said that I had a lot of nausea and vomiting because I was always in pain, which would cause me to be nauseous, which would cause me to vomit. I'd eat food, bleh. Try to eat again, bleh. Blah, blah. It just always came back out. Like right after chemo, like during chemo I didn't eat much because when you get chemo, your whole body feels like hot and kind of gross. At least that's how I felt. So I wouldn't eat very much during chemo, but like after, for a few days, I'd be like, and like my family's like, oh my God, she's gonna eat inside the house and home. And then normally I get so sick I wouldn't eat for like a week and a half, hardly at all. And then like the last few days before chemo again, I'd be like, oh, like eat everything, and my weight would drop. Like it go from like, I was like 112 when it started and dropped to like 90, low 90s. And then I gained a little bit more because they threatened to put me on food pills. And I'd be like, no, wait for another week. I will eat all of my food and then gain all of my weight back. And then I would gain some back because I ate like a pig and lose it again. Gain it and lose it. Because I guess, you know, if you vomit up everything you eat, like within like 10 minutes after eating it, you're not going to absorb any of it. So they tried a bunch of nausea stuff with me. They tried the IV Zofran, the pill Zofran, Phenergan. I had a reaction to IV Phenergan. It was really weird. I had like restless legs. Like I was just like, couldn't sit still after I took it. My whole body felt jittery. But if I take the pill, nothing happens. So they said I had like an intolerance to it. I don't know. And then, Zofran helped a little. Phenergan didn't really help at all. The last one, oh, my stepmom was home. The one that really worked for me was like this one. I'm so sorry. But it starts with an L and I can't remember its name now. But Ivy. But she can't help herself. Come here. There you go. But you take it only at night. And that one was like a lifesaver for me. Like that one worked really well and it helped with my nausea a lot. And also at that time when we started taking that one, I also stopped the chemo that was causing all the chest pain and stuff. And my mouth sore subsided at the time, so I think that chemo had a lot to do with causing that too. I think it was just really potent. It was red, and people say like there's one called the Red Devil. Maybe that's it. But so now I'm gonna talk about like symptoms that are like really common for most people going through chemo. I think. So when you get chemo, it kills everything in your body, not just like your cancer cells. It literally kills everything. So I would go in, normally when I got my outpatient chemo, like, so it'd be like a week, after inpatient, it had started to drop. And then, Ivy! She's barking because my stepmom just got home. And then a few days after that, please stop. You're driving me nuts today. Normally it doesn't bother me, but it's bothering me today. No. Go. Go outside. She drives me nuts. Okay. So my sister and my stepmom are home now, so now I feel like awkward talking, but it's fine. So now I'm gonna talk about like really common symptoms, like you know, when you get chemo, it kills everything in your body, not just cancer cells. It kills literally everything. So I would come in like a week after my chemo and to get the outpatient, and then it'd start to drop then, and like half a week later it really drop. And normally you have 12 to 18 hemoglobin. Mine dropped to like 6. So I had like blurry vision a lot. Like it felt like, you know, when you press in your eyes and your eyes are blurry for a second trying to adjust, it felt like that. And then I was like dizzy all the time, like that whooshing feeling in your head. And my blood would get so low that I couldn't walk without blacking out. Like I'd take a few steps and my vision would immediately go almost black, completely black. And my ears would ring really, really loud. And so whenever that happened, people actually had to like help me to the car, and like I'd had to be wheeled in a wheelchair to the clinic. And I got a bunch of blood transfusions. I got like, gosh, I don't know, like 8 blood transfusions, something like that. It was a lot of blood transfusions. So you A negatives out there who donated, shout out to you. Thank you. Because your blood saved my life. And then along with that, white blood would drop. White blood would plummet to literally 0. Not kidding, 0. That's what it's called. When you're neutropenic, it's because you have 0 ANC in your white blood. You have no white blood. So, because there's 2 numbers they look at, the white blood as a whole, and then ANC, which is like the kind of your immune system that like fights things for you. So literally when that happens, you just don't have an immune system. Someone could go, and normally your body would fight that off, but then your body has nothing to fight it off when you don't have like white blood, so you'd be like, like a day later. Like you get sick so easily. So that's why I wore face masks all the time. I wore them to like keep germs away, and when I was neutropenic for like a week and stuff sometimes, it's pretty long. I wouldn't leave the house. If my family members were sick, they would quarantine themselves in their bedroom. And then like when you go through the hospital, even if you don't wear a mask like at home, like when you go out and stuff because you're brave, like you should really wear one when you go through the mask when you go through the hospital, because hospitals are full of germs. And then along with those 2 things, platelets would also plummet. I know. What do you have left at that point? So my platelets would drop to, I don't really know what they would drop to. Really low number. I think they're supposed to be like 300 normally. or that's a decent number, and mine would be like 50. So basically, what that meant was you couldn't clot. So you get hit, bruise. You get scratched, blood clot under the skin. Like your body blood under the skin. You just can't clot. So like bleeding's really bad. Like they don't want you to have periods at all during this because of the platelets dropping, because it won't be able to like stop, and you already have low blood, so you'll just lose a bunch of blood. It's just a disaster. So they gave me a shot to kind of put me in like a fake menopause to stop my periods, and then you take birth control after that. It didn't really work that well for me until like the 4th round. They figured out the dosage I needed because I still had periods. So I had to get a lot of platelet transfusions because my platelets were low, and then I'd have periods actually like right when I got chemo, or right when my platelets would drop was when, like during that outpatient chemo is like when I would start having a period, so it was really bad timing. So I had to get platelet transfusions too. I had quite a bit of those too. I don't know how many. It's like this, obviously blood is red, but platelet bags are like this yellowy color. It looks almost like pee, like thick gooey pee. It's really gross, I'm not gonna lie. Next, ooh, look at those. So many. Exhaustion and heavy body, that goes with having no red blood. I was just tired all the time when I had chemo. Like I was a little tired. Like I'd be like, the thing's a few feet away. I'm too tired to get up and get it. And my body felt like it weighed 100 pounds more than it actually did. But if you don't have red blood and you're about to pass out and stuff, I'm sure you're gonna be exhausted. Like you can't, yeah. They told me that I was actually like, I would go like hard at like 6.5, like no, 7.5. Like it'd be like, I'd have like 7.5 blood, and I'd be like, let's go, let's live life. And they'd be like, how are you like going? Like how are you moving? Because most adults that have that blood would literally just like die. Like they'd lay in bed and not move. They'd be like, I can't move. And you're just like, let's go, let's have fun. But I was just like, I just hated being in bed all the time, like because I was sick literally all the time. I was in the hospital for a week at a time often. Like I was in the hospital more than I was at home. So like I wanted to go. Like I just wanted to go. It didn't matter how tired I was going. Okay, so going to when your white blood plummets, they give you a Neulasta shot. After the 3 days of inpatient chemo, on the 4th day at home, my stepmom would take a Neulasta shot, which we had delivered each month, and she'd give it to me. And then that would kick in. It was supposed to make my white bloods like skyrocket back up after it kicked in, and it would take a while. It took like 2 weeks, a week and a half, 2 weeks, something like that. Every time it got slower each time because my body got weaker and weaker. It was so annoying. And the Neulasta shot, like if you do it slowly, it's not that bad, but if you like inject it really fast, it's like a burning sensation that radiates through your leg, and it burns really bad for a few minutes. So I recommend injecting it slowly. Some people get like a armband, and it automatically injects after 24 hours. Mine, we had to inject it ourselves. I think I preferred that though, because then I was prepared for it, because I think I'd freak out if my arm just started beeping and then all of a sudden inject me. Like I'd probably cry because I'm afraid of needles. But the Neulasta shot, it caused really bad bone pain when it kicked in, because when the white cells came back, they would go to your bones like really, really fast, and your bones would expand, is what they said, I think. And it hurt so bad. Like my whole body, my bones felt like they were throbbing throughout my whole body, and it just ached really, really bad. And I was taking Zizal because I would get highs when I got in the shower. I don't know how to explain it. It's just water in general. I got in the shower, I sweated, I went into a pool, I went to the ocean, any of that. I would get hives. I'd react with the water. It was a weird thing, but if I took Zizal every day, I wouldn't have a reaction. I can't explain it. But so they didn't give me like Claritin, but normally they give people Claritin, and that helps with bone pain a lot. So after like 2 rounds of really bad bone pain, they gave me Claritin in the morning, because they're like, maybe it's different than Zizal. Maybe there's something else besides just being an antihistamine that affects it. And the Claritin actually helped a lot. Like the bone pain mainly just became in my lower back after that instead of my whole body. So it just made, like, I would use a heating pad and stuff, and like take a lot of hot baths and stuff, try to like ease the pain in my back. It only lasted like 3 days normally. It wasn't that bad. it hurt really bad. Like, it hurt pretty bad, but it didn't last very long, so it made it, like, bearable, you know? And then, just your basic fevers, hot flashes, you know. Everybody gets, like, fevers during chemo, I think. I'm thinking it's pretty common, like, neutropenic fevers. Mine, I never had any, like, infections. Like, they never found anything popping up when they, like, test my bacteria and stuff to see if I had anything. They never found anything, but I stayed at, like, 99.5 degrees. Like, I stayed kind of a little higher than normal, but I had a few times where I got up to, like, 102.8 and stuff, like, pretty decent, like, fevers. Not, like, the worst in the world, but decent enough to... They don't want you to come in if it gets to, like, 101.7 maybe. I think they said you have to come in. I don't know. I'll have to look later. But they wanted you to come in because they were afraid you had some infection, and infections is, like, the big killer when you're getting chemo. Madison just left her room. So I got fevers. Like, I stayed at that one temperature, and then I got a fever, like, twice. And they bring you in, even if nothing pops up, they want to give you antibiotics for a few days, so they make you stay and they give you antibiotics. And so that happened, like, twice. And one time I got an antibiotic called Zosyn because they wanted to cover a bigger range of possible infections because they didn't know, like, why I had a fever and why it just kept coming back up, because it literally would go down a little bit and then it'd come right back up. And I had a really bad allergic reaction to Zosyn. I had hives all over. I actually still have, like, these red squares on my finger. I know you can't see them, but it's on each finger right here, where the skin turned, like, a dark red and raised up and stuff, and, like, swollen from the reaction. And then it didn't go down for, like, weeks, and then I guess it, like, scarred somehow because it's, like, these pink squares. It's really weird. But that was my experience with fevers. Thankfully, I never got sick, except for I got, like, a stomach flu one day, but it was during my good week, so I didn't, like, I had a good blood and, like, white cells and stuff, so I got over it in the normal amount of time, like 12 hours. So that was the only time I got sick, because my family was, like, hardcore, like, didn't let me go over to large groups of people, like, never went around me when they were sick, like, kept me pretty quarantined. Like, I lived in the basement, so I was away from most people, so I didn't get sick, really, thankfully. And then just, like, you know, the hot flashes is, I think I kind of, like, I guess where I was in the fake menopause from trying not to bleed and stuff caused hot flashes, kind of like a 40-year-old woman would experience. But I did have, like, hot flashes. I still kind of have them. It's really weird, but, like, I get hot so easily and I sweat really bad. Like, I can never, like, decide whether to put a blanket on or not, because if I put the blanket on, I feel like I'm burning hot and melting. If I take it off, I feel like I'm cold. And when I wake up in the morning, I feel hot all over. It's weird. I don't like it, but I've gotten used to it. We're almost done. We have a few more. This one is, like, a personal symptom. I mean, she said that she never had anyone have problems like this as bad as me. Chemo obviously can cause, this is embarrassing, it can obviously cause constipation, but mine was really bad. Mine kind of, like, stopped being able to constrict, so I couldn't, like, go to the bathroom, and they gave me, like, stimulants and stuff, but, like, it didn't work. And then one day I started puking, ran out of stuff to puke, puked all my stomach acid up, and then we thought there wasn't anything else I could throw up, and I started throwing up a lot of liquid, like a lot of yellow liquid out of nowhere, and they were like, how are you throwing up anything else? There's nothing left. Well, it turns out I was throwing up from my intestines. I had, like, 80 golf ball size clumps of, you know, doo-doo all through my bowels, all the way. And I started throwing up from my intestines because I got so backed up. So it was really bad. And they put a tube in my nose and down my throat and pumped Go Lightly in me for, like, 24 hours and flushed me all out, because they tried every concoction they could think of. They tried, like, what they call the bomb, which is a mixture of all this really strong liquid crap, and didn't work. Like, nothing worked. Enemas, none of that worked. So, and then after they cleaned me out, I still had really bad trouble, so I took lactulose 3 times a day, Docuset twice a day, and Senna twice a day. It was a lot. Eventually, they said that eventually it would like recover and it would start to like go back to normal, and eventually I could take just the pills and I'd be okay. And now I don't have to take anything. Like I'm good, I'm fine. But that one was bad because I was in the hospital getting with a tube down my throat just to go to the bathroom. Of all things, like of all things, to get sick. That was one of them. Let's see. There's the obvious hair loss. My hair's actually growing back pretty fast. I use Biotin shampoo and it's amazing. I really recommend it. I use the shampoo and conditioner because I literally didn't have any hair at all 3 weeks ago, and now like look at this bad boy. I have almost as much hair as my dad. Like it's insane. And it's actually really light in like sunlight. Like it almost looks blonde when I go outside, and I had like a dark blonde hair before, so I'm interested to see like if it's the same color or if it's like a different color now. And I had like really in between curly hair. Like I had that weird wave that like is really hard to work with because it's not really curly, but it's not straight either. It's like annoying. So I'm interested to see if that's the same or if I have really curly hair or straight hair now, because they say chemo changes your hair. And then there's this one that I still have. And then finally we'll get to stuff that I still have, which is like chemo brain. Like it's subsided a ton, but during it I had a hard time concentrating on anything. Like my attention span was like, I was supposed to be looking at that. Oh, right. And like it was awful. I couldn't concentrate on anything. I couldn't remember anything. I literally couldn't remember things worth squat. You would tell me something and 5 minutes later you asked me what that was and I'd be like, I don't know. I don't remember. It's almost like a fogginess. It's like you have like a fogginess in your head, and it's so frustrating. Like it's so frustrating. Like my dad would ask me, what's like 6 times like 6? And I'd be like, I don't remember. Well, now if you ask me that, I'd be like, oh, 36. It's easy. But when I had like really bad chemo brain, I literally couldn't even do basic multiplication, and it drove me insane. And now the most I have with that is like my attention span's still pretty short, but it's always been short, so I'm not surprised. But my memory's still not always the best. I still forget things pretty bad, but I don't feel that like fogginess anymore, and I can think again and I can concentrate again. It's amazing. Like I do not miss having really bad chemo brain, because like I couldn't even watch my shows. Like I want to watch anime or something, and I like couldn't focus on the subtitles. I get distracted by something. So it was so annoying. And then finally, and then the last thing I have really isn't a symptom, but it's just like something that'll always be there, is that where I did have lymph nodes swollen, like one to the size of a tennis ball, and like swollen throughout my body and stuff. They said that they will be permanently scarred and deformed, so they will never return to normal size. They shrunk substantially, but they will always be bigger than normal lymph nodes and always kind of deformed. But, everything else is going to go back to normal. Yeah, my leg's kind of weak. Yeah, my brain's a little foggy. My hair is growing back. But with time, everything's going to go back to normal. I thankfully didn't have any like long-term damaging effects. When my uncle had he had non-Hodgkin's lymphoma back like 30 years ago or something. He had to get his spleen taken out. He had to get radiation, which made it where he like burns really easily, and like the spleen made where he doesn't have an immune system. And I didn't have any of that, thankfully. Like my spleen was super swollen. It was super enlarged, and it was pressing on, like my lymph nodes and my spleen were pressing on other organs and causing lots of pain. So like it was a fear of mine that my spleen would be taken out, but no. Got the chemo out of that. Got the chemo out of my bones, so I didn't have to get radiation. Like I did pretty well actually in the end. Like I feel like I was very lucky. I feel like I was pretty blessed through this whole thing, to not have anything long term that's gonna like affect me for the rest of my life. So yeah, those were my symptoms. This video ended up being really, really long, but if you stuck around, thanks for watching. Have any questions, comment them below.